This one is a Dr. Martin Luther King tribute. It was written specifically for this event last year. I've got to use it a couple times since then at various Martin Luther King Jr. events. So yeah, we'll give it a go. I don't have the entire thing memorized. I'm not Jeremiah Jackson quite yet, but the first part for sure. So, stand on business. 10 toes down. What do those words even mean? They're phrases that are commonly used today to reference groups or individuals holding their ground, standing firm with regard to their personal values, morals, principles, and beliefs, right? Stand on business is exactly what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did. He stood for nonviolent activism. He stood for nonviolent resistance. He stood for the advancement of civil rights for people of color. He stood for Christian beliefs. He stood when he marched. He stood when he spoke. He stood when he preached. He stood when he sat. He lived. He died. But when he was taken from us, he didn't stop standing on business. No, his presence continued and continues to stand. His words, his work, his belief, his voice continues to stand through statues and memorials. His beliefs are still standing. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down for 385 days straight in 1955 during the Montgomery bus boycott until the Supreme Court made segregation on public buses unconstitutional. He was 10 toes down during the birth of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in 1957. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down during the 1963 Birmingham campaign to combat police brutality. He was 10 toes down when he helped push for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He wasn't 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, he was all 10 toes down when he led the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom on August 28, 1963. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down when he gave his I Have a Dream speech. We watched that in class last week. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down when he began his journey at Morehouse College at just 15 years old and graduated at just 19 years old with his BA in sociology. He was 10 toes down all 29 times he was arrested. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down when he explained his opposition to the Vietnam War. Martin Luther King Jr. was, you guessed it, 10 toes down when his passing spurred the passing of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. He was 10 toes down at all times, and he was 10 toes down at all times for our civil rights, right? And we're still fighting for our civil rights. So I encourage you all to not let your guard down and to stand on business and to stay 10 toes down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did. Thank you.